What's that sound? It's For Amusement Only, the EM and Bingo Pinball Podcast. Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. Tonight I wanted to talk about Bally's 1953 Ice Frolics. Now, if you've heard the past several episodes, I've talked about an earlier game called Frolics, which was a 6-card, and it had an interesting scoring system. This game brings that scoring system back, but has changed it to be a 3-card bingo. Now, each card is made up of a 5x5 grid, 25 numbers total, each of which is represented by a trap hole on the playfield, and your goal is to get 3, 4, or 5 in a row using the numbers on those bingo cards to win replays. Now, if you're new to bingo pinball and the idea of winning replays, it's not just a single replay that you win, but it's a replay amount that's based on the odds that are granted by the machine. In this case, for Ice Frolics, your odds are fixed unless you earn a feature called Super Score. Now, the Super Score allows you to earn the amount of replays indicated by the advancing odds. This game has advancing odds, but they are only active if you have a winner on the Super Score card. So, how did that work exactly? An excellent question. You put in your money to start a game and it lights your first card. On this game, the second and third cards will light with one additional nickel. But the Super Score lights on mystery intervals, which means that it's going to light that feature randomly based on a few different factors. The number of replays that you've won recently, the position of a few different units that randomize things, and the weather on Mars. So, position of the stars, all that good stuff. Now, the goal, of course, is to make your winner on the card that's highlighted as Super Score. In this case, with Ice Frolics, only one could be highlighted at a time. If I understand this correctly. I've never played in Ice Frolics. So, if any listeners have, and I say something incorrect, please let me know. But, unlike Frolics, where multiple cards could be Super Score, it appears that only one could be on Ice Frolics, and you select which card is the Super Score card with the dial on the front of the machine. As you turn the dial, it'll move the Super Score from first to second to third, and back again, however you choose to position it, but it locks you out of moving that before you shoot your fourth ball. Now, I mentioned the advancing odds, so what's really the benefit? Well, if you look at the Backglass, you'll see that the advancing odds go from 6 replays for 3 in a row, 24 for 4, and 100 for 5, all the way up to 64 for 3 in a row, 160 for 4, and 300 for 5 in a row. So, your best bet, of course, is to get one of these Super Score wins for this large number of replays, because by default, what it gives you is 4 replays for 3 in a row, 20 replays for 4 in a row, and 100 replays for 5 in a row. Well, you can certainly do better than that, but it requires you, as the player, to realize exactly what you need to shoot for and make those numbers. Thankfully, so I mentioned that you can reposition which card is a Superscore card before shooting your 4th ball, but that was before I actually read something on the Backglass. It looks like by default, you have to choose which card is a Superscore card before shooting your 1st ball, and then it locks you out of that feature. But there's an extended time tree where you can extend it all the way up to before shooting your 4th ball. That's a worthwhile feature to try and get. This game also has rollovers, typical yellow and red rollover, which are on the bottom third of the playfield. And if you manage to steer the ball over one of those rollovers when it's lit, it will light 3 in-line scores as 4 in-line. Now, if you achieve this, and you have the Superscore lit, you have the potential to earn up to 160 replays for a 3 in a row, which is pretty darn good. This game also has the extra ball feature, which is always helpful in a clutch. Again, that's portioned in the same way that earning features is portioned. And speaking of features, this game also brings back the feature from Palm Springs, the hold feature. You can hold odds, evens, or all, and whichever you don't hold will drop and allow you to shoot again. And it's exactly what it sounds like. You hold odds, it'll drop all the evens. If you hold evens, it'll drop all the odds. That's a pretty handy feature. And again, you can hold at any time until the end of the game. Now you may be saying, that's a lot of features, but I feel like I need something more. Well, you're in luck. In this case, the game has corner scoring, and your corners score 200 replays if you manage to get all 4. So, let's talk about artwork. This game has an ice skating theme, as you might assume from the title, Ice Frolics. On the Backglass, you have 7 different ladies alternating between blonde and redhead, each in exactly the same position, holding a fan in one hand and a billowy ice skating skirt, and what looks like a hat box on the ice. The fan has your 5 in a row odds. Their skirt has your 4 in a row odds, and the hat box has your 3 in a row. Ice Frolics is written on a wintry themed ribbon, has snowflakes and such, and your rollovers are themed as snowflakes, which is pretty cool. There are bubbles floating through the background, and a lot of blues and reds and what you might think of as wintry colors. Now the cabinet has a pretty cool, sharp looking stencil, multiple snowflakes, blues, yellows, reds, and whites, and a very large snowflake on the coin door. The playfield has more kind of figure skaters skating across. And in the background you have paired figure skaters skating together. And in the far background you've got some wonderful curtains going across. Overall, this is a very festive-looking game, and I really like the wintry theme. Winter is my favorite season, so I enjoy artwork that incorporates snow and ice and so forth. And it's also, as I say, very festive. There are all these bubbles which wind their way through the entire art package. It's very, very attractive. Now, as I mentioned, I've never played one of these, but again, as I said with Frolics, I think this is really an exceptional thinking person's bingo, because there are so many decision points that you have to make, and this one is even more complex than just regular Frolics. Because aside from having to make the numbers on the super score, you also have that hold feature, which allows you to redo several of the balls if you make some bad mistakes. So that's pretty darn handy. I am dying to play one of these. I would really love to play one and see just how much of an impact that has. Now, I believe this is number 2 of 3 games that has that particular hold feature, so we'll be getting to the third one here before too long. I believe that was made in the late 60s. So, right now we're still in 1953. And if you've been paying attention, you can see just the volume of bingos that Bally was producing, and the fact that each one tried something which was pretty unique. It's just spectacular to think about. Ice Frolics is no exception. They bring back features from other games, but when you have one feature in concert with another, it changes the game entirely. And I've been asked before, why would anybody want multiple bingos in their collection? And that's because every single one plays differently. Each one is its own special challenge. I would be proud to have a collection of all the Bally bingos, all the United bingos. It would be exceptional, because no matter what you're in the mood to play, no matter how much you're in the mood to think or react, there's a game for you. And so, hopefully, that's coming across in the broadcast here, but these games are extremely fun. And so it excites me to even think about the possibilities of a game like Ice Frolics when I've never even seen one. I've never played one. So Vic Camp just sold one here recently, and I hope that the owner is really enjoying that game, because it looks like a great game. So that's all for tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. My name again is Nick Baldridge. You can reach me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com, or you can call me on the Bingos line. That's 724-BINGOS1, 724-246-4671. You can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, via RSS, on Facebook, on Twitter at Bingo Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at Bingo Podcast, or you can listen to us on our website, which is foramusementonly.libsyn.com. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.